Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In this video we will talk about how to write multiple conditions in code in Roblox Studio. So please like and subscribe because this video will surely help out and the upcoming videos will help out with development, so anyways let's start. First we will talk about else keyword. The best way I can explain it is if one condition is true then do something else, do another thing. Here are some examples.
Time, then we can turn a light on, or if 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, which it is, then we can do something. So firstly, when we're doing an if statement, we have to say if, and that basically tells the script that this is an if statement and we're checking something. So an if statement is made up of an if, a then, and an end. So we have if, and then we have something that goes in between if and then, and if whatever we put here is correct, if it's true, if it's right, then it's going to run whatever code goes in between these two lines. So if I was to print out correct and I was to put something in here, obviously it has to be, well, this is a condition, it has to be something that we can check. So for example, we could check to see if a number add another number was equal to 4. So if 2 add 2 is equal to 4, then it's going to print correct. Now let's run this script and see what happens. Well, there we go, prints correct. So what it's done is it's basically said, right, is 2 add 2 equal to 4? Well, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. So this condition is true. And whenever the condition is true, then it's always going to print correct. Now, if I put false, then it's not going to say correct because the condition that we've put in here is false. Now I know we've written false, but basically when an if statement sees a condition which is false, then it won't run the code inside of it. When it sees true, then it will run the code inside of it. But what we didn't say whether 2 plus 2 was 4 or not. We didn't say that was true. So what happens is when you put a condition in here, like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, it's going to work it out, and then if it is correct, then it's either going to be true or it's going to be false. When it's false, it doesn't run anything inside of the if statement. When it's true, it does. So our conditions can either be true or they can be false. And depending on whether they are, is whether the code will run or not. So these conditions, you can think about them as like the script checks them and they're either true or false. And if they're false, it won't run. If it's true, it will run the code inside of the if statement. So well, what do we want to check? Well, you can check properties of things. So we could check to see if the time of day was nighttime. So let's look in the lighting. The lighting has a property called time of day. And if we were to say if game.lighting dot time of day, and because it's a string, time of day, the data type is a string, then, oh by the way, when we're checking something and we want to say if something is equal to something, we always have to do a double equals, and this is because when we're setting a value, if we were to set the time of day, we would say equals and then we'd put the time of day in there. So we're setting time of day to be 12 o'clock, but if we were to have one equals, the script would think that we're setting the value to 12 o'clock, but we actually just want to check it. We want to see if it's equal to something. We want to see if it's equal to 12 o'clock. So because it thinks we want to set it to 12 o'clock, we have to do a double equals. So whenever you do an if statement, just make sure that you have 2 equal signs when you're checking something. That's just the way it is, because it's not going to work if you just have one. So make sure you have 2 in there. So we're going to do a string, and we're going to do 12 o'clock because it's not a number. Time of day. Time of day is a string because it's got these colons in the middle. If it didn't have the colons, then it wouldn't be, but that's just the way it's formatted, so it's a string. So we can say if time of day is 12 o'clock, then make it correct. It will then print out correct. So if we clear the output and run the game, it's currently set to 14 or 2 o'clock, so it's not going to print correct. But if we were to change the time of day to 12 o'clock and run it again, you can see it prints correct. Now this if statement is only going to run once. It's only going to run once the game starts, and then if you change the lighting later on, it won't update. So if we start it off and the time is currently at 3 o'clock and we change it to 12 o'clock, you can see it doesn't print out correct. That's because the if statement has already run. It's run once, and it's not printed correct because the time of day wasn't 12 o'clock when we started the game. It was 15 or 3 o'clock. So it only runs once, and then once it's already run, it'll just move on. It won't keep checking like an event keeps running. It won't do that. It will only keep checking if you put it in a while loop. And I'm not sure if we've done a while loop yet, but a while loop will just keep repeating any code inside of it like this. If we were to do this every 1 second in our while loop, it would constantly check. And now if we change the time of day to 12 o'clock, every 1 second it will keep checking, and there we go. It is correct because the time is now 12 o'clock. But if we change it back to 15 or 14 or 00, you can see it does say correct still, but you can see it's not increasing over here where it goes times 7. That's because if we went to clear the output, you see it still wouldn't print the message. So that is what an if statement